Hey everybody, how's it going? Hope you're having a blast so far at NASA, and this is Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning. I'm Hyperion64, and today we'll be doing any percent. So before I can start, we need to figure out what the file name is going to be. So I guess that BitWar has closed off already.
Yes.
Alright, then.
It is going to be Drakengard.
Oh, alrighty. Okay, so I'll put in the file name and time.
How are we gonna look like? Oh,
I just went with something like the race and gender is like faster in this sense, but okay. So I'll do a countdown for
anything you want to tell chat? A wonderful greeting from your home country, probably.
I hope everybody's doing great. I'm from Germany. Love to all of the world, and yeah, I'll talk about some random stuff during the run as well. I guess it'll be topical for the first couple of minutes because there's a bunch to explain, but yeah, if you have any questions, chime in,
Nice.
post in chat, whatever. Alright, so
I'm gonna steal love to all the world. I was telling everybody you were going to say greetings from Germany, so you did me better on that one.
first time runner, second time
Good luck
donator.
and take it away.
Alright, we'll start the run in 3, 2, 1, go. Alright, so this is Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning, any percent. Yes, I am excited for the remaster. This game just got announced a remaster in August, and so many people are hyped for it. This is the old game still, but it still held up fairly well in terms of graphics. I don't have them racked up all the way just to ensure a little better frame rate, but at least like you get a general idea of what the design style is, and it's like a fantasy action RPG with lovely graphics and a lot of other impressive elements. So at first we're in some sort of tutorial location, nothing crazy going on here, just fighting some enemies. It'll explain us how to do, I don't know, weapon equips, what armor is for, that you can use spells, the usual stuff. And there'll be plenty of other things that will happen as well. The most optimization related things here will be grouping up enemies together so one attack can hit both of them. We have not very amazing equipment when we're starting out. We'll get better stuff later. And it's fairly like straightforward. The game's usually telling you where to go, what to do, and so on. Sometimes we know better than the game what to do, so we'll listen to that type of intuition instead. Alright, so there are plenty of hotkeys in the game. Most of them will be explained at some point, but there are also several for menuing that you'll never see, so you just had to either figure it out or try to copy from other consoles that they have hotkeys on there in their controller input method. I'm playing with mouse and keyboard, but any method is fine. Like, you'll see many other runners play with controller as well. And this is on PC. The game was also released on PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. So here's a little stealth tutorial. It's supposed to have like stealth kill execution things here, but neither do we grab any daggers that would be useful for stealth sneak attacks, nor do we have any interest in fighting enemies unnecessarily. So we're just focusing on getting past everything as fast as possible. And I'll quickly do this section. So there's supposed to be a cutscene trigger of an enemy spawning in there, but if you're not looking into the direction you're walking at that point, the cutscene actually doesn't play, and I think this is very unique. Like, I don't know any other place in the game where that type of cutscene mechanic or trigger mechanic would be applied. But yeah, it's fun. Neat little time save.
Just another perfectly coded game.
To be fair, this game is very solid. Like, a lot of people complain about quest bugs or something if you completely do stuff out of order where the game doesn't expect you to. Like, there could be more checks like that. But the game doesn't have like a special type of button where you can jump or anything like that. So there's little like movement tech and other things that would break the game. But there'll still be glitches. In fact, there's a cutscene skip coming up that is really tough to execute. If I deal damage to the next boss enemy as he's spawning in, that'll actually skip the cutscene because his animation gets interrupted from the staggering of the attack. But this one's super precise. It's like the most precise trick we know as of now. That was early. It's just like 2 to 3 seconds, something like that. So now we're actually using abilities. These can actually cancel other types of movement. And there are parry mechanics as well. And this is a fate shift. These things can happen either when they're forced with certain boss enemies, or when you're entering Reckoning mode, which is like an ultra thing. Okay, so here I'm waiting for aggro to cool off, so I can fast travel to this location. And this location is only discovered from the get-go if you start a game from a... like, start the game and then start a new file. If you load up any previous save or whatever, it will not have that discovered and you manually discover it. What that means was, discovering this location is usually triggering the end of the first quest as well. And there's this guy like back there, who is an important quest NPC called Agarth. And that quest NPC is supposed to interact with us, but not after we finish the first quest. Nobody expects you to get there without finishing the quest, because there's literally like a circular surrounding that prevents you from crossing it otherwise, but we can fast travel past it.
Nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition, right? Also, for the name, we got a donation from Mash with a 12 bucks saying, "This stream is now sponsored by Drakengard. Zero wants to save the children too." And Rosal, I'll get it down one day, I promise, donates 20 bucks saying, "Thank you again, NASA, for having me. Hyperion, good luck. Hope you have as much fun as I did."
Thank you, I'll try it, and thanks to all you wonderful people for the donations. It's really making me happy to see how many of you are not just supporting everybody by watching the stream and sharing it with others, but also donating for an awesome cause.
Absolutely.
Okay, so to get back to this weird glitch,
Yeah.
there are different applications. Like, I don't really want to avoid completing the main quest, because that's the goal of the category. Finish the main quest line, beat the final boss, reach the credits. Sounds simple enough, so why would I want to not finish the quest? It has to do with the quest reward being fairly negligible. It's just supposed to level out your previous XP, so you're ending up with level 1, 0 XP. But the code the game's running is the same as the level up code that is not accessible without the debug menu, but it pretty much just means fill up the XP requirement for the next level. And the XP requirement for level 1 is 500 XP, and then it'll ramp up to 1100 and so on. And at higher levels, that's worth so much more experience that we get, I don't know, maybe 50 times the reward that we'd get at the beginning. And maybe I should explain a little bit about the whole XP mechanic and the leveling system. So we're currently doing some preparation, and there you have noticed me already fast traveling. It's just certain locations will allow you to be selectable on the map and go there. And we're doing that to move between quests more easily later. And these little things give us also experience, and that just levels us up to level 1. There are many other ways to get experience. Killing enemies is a prominent one. Doing quests gives a lot of XP usually. And these discoveries have a medium amount. And then there are also lore stones, which is just a lot of lore that may not be detrimental to understanding any of the quests. But it's pretty neat to have all these nice jingles and awesome lyrics. And in the next area that I'll enter, you'll see the first lore stone I'm taking. Yeah, exactly. This game got more recognition as of late because people are still excited about it and tell others to give it a try. It's not very famous for speedruns, but we have quite a lot of optimization in the different runs, and there are so many categories that are mostly routed. We're still working on a couple of new ones, so there's still developing things. We're discovering new glitches. We're working on new stuff. Like, routing is pretty complex. So this was a lore stone. Sorry for talking over that, but I think it's good to get some basic things out of, just to have them wrapped up before we get into the more exciting stuff. It has not got a sequel as of yet, but a remaster called Kingdoms of Amalur Re-Reckoning will be released in mid-August roughly. Like, the last date I've heard of was August 18th. So now we are entering a new area, larger region I should say, called the Plains of Arathel. And this one's supposed to be later in the game. Like, I basically went through the first dungeon and now I'm straight up running through the area. So this thing just gave me a ton of experience. Now I can level up. And there are many things about the leveling up process that are useful. Like, abilities allow us to dish out more damage. Here I'll quickly aggro on this guard to go to jail. Going to jail loses experience if you sleep it out, but it's very negligible and it puts us really far into the direction we're going to get anyway. So this is like a warp to a further point to the east in the map and saves quite a lot of movement. Yeah, there are a lot of different builds that are really fun to try out. Lots of weapon combinations and spells that really make it engaging and not repetitive. Alright, let me quickly check out on something. I did the level up already, so we're good to go. The other things a level up benefits is that you can invest into skills, and skills are like passive things that usually don't interfere with combat in any way. They're mostly like persuasion to convince NPCs to do special things, or stealth is like to be not detected as early. There can be mercantile for better shopping things and so on. We're investing into sage crafting because this like whole crafting system in the game is always deemed as broken. That's mostly due to the game displaying like certain an affix, for example, as stacking additively, whereas the game's mechanic is stacking those multiplicatively. So if we're having, let's say, plus 20% damage and then plus 20% damage again, the game would display plus 40% damage. But in reality, these things are pretty hard to dodge. But if you're dodging at like a very precise frame, the enemy targeting will be really messed up and they'll aim way higher above you, like into the wall. Yeah, so the 40% is just like 44% in actuality. That doesn't sound like much if you think of it like that. Yeah, that's... Oh, that discovery did not want to trigger. The real difference is if you have a lot of these, then the difference between linear and multiplicative stacking will turn out to be exponential. And as like heads up, what I will be doing is I'll be stacking almost 20 effects of damage in one build fairly quickly. And instead of giving me something like plus 300 to 400% damage, it's going to be plus 2000% damage. And this is fairly mind-blowing. And like we always thought that hard would make the speedrun a lot more difficult and a lot slower. But this year, when we figured out this new damage route, it turns out that hard is only about 5 minutes slower anymore. And that's fairly ridiculous. I know that hard in this game's difficulty setting is not comparable to Dark Souls, but to be fair, we're going for a glass cannon build, so there will still be plenty of enemies that can dish out a lot of damage. Alright. So I did invest into Sagecraft earlier as well, so I'd have Sagecraft level 3 now. That allows us to obtain a unique weapon in the next area. And most uniques are just either random drops or like specific rewards for quests. But this one is always in there, and it may require a higher Sagecrafting level if your character and area level are higher. So I'll try to explain that system in a second as we go. Every area and place in this level... Oh, nice, triple sorcerers. 1 second, this is serious time. That was a little unfortunate to go out of rhythm there. But they can attack you simultaneously to some extent. You don't want to get stun locked here without any proper armor. So we just got that weapon, and we don't want the true form of it because that requires a lot of points invested into the might ability tree. There's might, which is like the melee fighter, sorcery, which is the mage's thing, and then there's also finesse, which is like a stealth, archer, sneaky dagger thing. How did I discover that? Okay. Good. So we just got a unique item that's pretty OP, right? Sorry to say, but we're just selling it for money. And we bought some lockpicks. You can get lockpicks in different ways in the game. You could loot them, but purchasing them is the fastest, reliable way if you have money.
From the dark of north he came.
Yeah, I think this game feels different speedrun-wise to Skyrim. Like, Skyrim may be more broken in various ways. But yeah, this speedrun category would work perfectly well with sorcery as well. We don't know whether sorcery can potentially be faster, but like this run utilizes the finesse build that obsoleted the previous sorcery build. Also, why would I want lockpicks? I'm not going to loot really random things. But this is another source of income here, and I'll explain that in a second as well. I just need to break into this place here. Wow, first try. That is what I call luck. So here we're playing minigames, because minigames are always fun. Wow, okay, we got really lucky. So I was able to force open both locks, and then I did like, I'm not going to force an average ward, so I just played the minigame, because I'd die within like, what, 2 or 3 frames if I missed the force. Yeah, so unfortunately there are no horses in the game, but the fast traveling mechanic pretty much obsoletes that. And you usually get an XP reward for dispelling chests, for picking locks and so on. Since we forced one open, we didn't get that experience, but I'll grab some other location later to make up for that missing experience, because this is routed down to the last experience point for the intro section. And we're way more than halfway through the intro section. We're about to go into shopping trip 1. And I know this is not super exciting, but shopping is really hard. And I say that as in, it's harder than like fighting tough bosses and other things on hard. And it's way more punishing. Sorry, go ahead.
No problem. On the topic of shopping trips, we got some money for the children.
Yay.
Lulz is donating $20 and saying Hyperion.
Yo, Lulz, thanks for the donation. It's very much appreciated. Always awesome to see a familiar face as well. And yeah, I hope I can get a little more hype across once we got the boring discovery section out of the way. It's mostly about reducing distances, like going in straight lines. We're optimizing the average speed as well, so whenever I enter a new zone or interact with NPCs or do anything else that would cancel my animation, I will double roll. So a double roll has a higher average velocity, but at the end it's having like ending lag, so transitioning to that is not that nice. And here we're doing discovery fast travel. That puts us slightly ahead of the place, but the major difference for that is to manipulate time of day. So this discovery section is not just supposed to give us experience for higher levels, so we can equip more items, get our skills and abilities up, but it's also allowing us to be in a specific time of day schedule to obtain a very precise amount of gold. And there's one other thing that I still haven't got around to explaining. Every area in the game, including houses, dungeons and so on, all have a level range. So this tunnel here goes from level 9 to 20, maybe even 25. Like, it's certainly between 22 and 25. This area here goes from level 10 to 25. I'm not level 10, so the game just assumes the minimum level it can have for the area, and it'll stay like that for the whole duration. So whenever I come back here, this will be locked into area level 10. And that determines the experience reward we're getting for all of these things. So higher area level means higher rewards. But there's also another mechanic going on. So the higher the player level is, you'll get less of an XP reward. So it's kind of like supposed to make it draw out a little longer, the grinding process. I mean, you can still get to the maximum level of level 40 fairly quickly. Okay, time for shopping. I'll make a save here because stuff can go wrong and this is scary. So these are stolen items, and NPCs don't like to trade with stolen items usually.
Welcome.
But if we sell them to a fence, you can buy them back for the same price, and then they'll lose their property of being stolen. And here I'm using an interesting glitch. Sorry, shopping is serious business, sorry. Okay, perfect. So what I'm doing here is I'm buying an item from an NPC for their purchase price. If I'm selling it to them, it's about like 1/10 of the price that I would buy it at. But if I'm buying it and I'm having an item identical to it that can stack with my items, then I can get the selling price for the purchase price. So I'm selling it for way more than usual. Alrighty. I just want to be extra marathon safe for this because it's so frustrating to screw up something here. So we're doing the same thing here with gems we're crafting, and suddenly I'm having more than 300,000, which is a lot of gold in the game for being early, like early on into the game. And with that money we can do a lot of things. I'm not going to beat the game wearing Rex. I'm going to be like barefoot for another 15 minutes maybe. But don't worry, there will be OP equipment very soon. Everything is better with a cannon indeed. We don't have cannons, but we have spells that can fire fairly rapidly as well. Mostly in the sorcery tree, I'd say. But there are pretty OP finesse spells as well. So right now I'm sleeping a little, and that's exactly 6 days. That'll restock the merchants with all of their shards. So most shards will be available after like 2 or 3 days already. But the pristine shards, which are the highest quality, those take 6 days. And so here was where I went a little out of the way to get the extra experience. So the way it's calculated is that I'll hit level 5 very soon with barely any XP to spare, like 20 XP surplus. And then I'll get the free level up from the very first quest reward that I was mentioning a long time ago. And that'll like allow me to hit level 6 easily. And level 6 is not a huge milestone or anything, it just works out conveniently fine. And we're also using levels to equip items, like some items have a level requirement, and some items may have a... Okay, I had to wait for the aggro there. I wanted to fast travel in here, not walk into here.
But not like the others.
So now the merchants are restocked, so we'll go for shopping trip number 2 very shortly. And then we're jumping right back into the game. So that allows us to do really crazy things and break the game wide open. So this is very much worth the time we're investing, because it'll pay off by a lot actually. So we're just starting our first quest. This one is kind of independent of the other quest line, but they'll both merge into the main quest together in half an hour. I won't be able to explore and explain all of the canon lore and other things. I'll try to do that, like I should have some more time to talk about stuff later into the run. And for now, I'll try to get this thing straight. So what used to be the case was I was under-leveled, so all of these enemies had red names. Here, for example, I'm level 4, this guy's level 8. And if you're less than 3 levels, more than 3 levels below them, girl, they can spawn with both genders. And they'll have red names, and red named enemies have a really huge damage negation, as in resisting most of the damage you're dealing to them. And they're also not suffering from any stagger interrupt mechanic. So they can pretty much attack you to their desire, and that's pretty annoying. Because we want to have a high kill speed. So that kind of means we want to be able to stay on the level curve of areas we're in. And that requires a lot of experience management, which is what all of any percent revolved around until this route. And like, this is kind of revolutionary with being able to adjust things so efficiently. And any percent has seen a lot of reroutes, a lot of smaller optimizations, but also bigger things. And it's interesting to see that it's not like always straightforward and there are multiple things competing with being the best or not. Yeah, the DLCs are very cool. This is any percent no DLC. I do have the DLCs, but I'm not going to use them in any way to my advantage. But there is an any percent with DLC category, but that doesn't mean you beat the DLCs. It means you're allowed to use the DLCs. Okay, this is a bit disgusting of a spawn. Oh wait, sorry. I did not see that you were responding to a previous chat message. Alright, so shopping trip 2. Now that we've hit level 5. So level 5 means I can technically fight these more easily, but I still don't have my damage online, so I'll try to get my damage items set up now. But yeah, the DLC for this game is pretty cool as well, so I can recommend anyone to check it out. The remaster will also come with the DLC already. So that's also good for anyone interested.
Need something? You didn't.
Okay, more shopping.
Something. What's my tally?
So the reason I'm buying these items is because they have a lot of sockets. And sockets means places where you can insert gems that you craft from sage crafting, which is why I need all these shards. And this is mostly our setup. We used to do blacksmithing, but it just turns out it's not like that OP unless you invest into sage crafting as well. Okay, now we'll... shop items are always predetermined. But there are other ways to get like random loot, but shop items are always set to bank on. Okay. Alright, so we're just mashing through things to get that upgraded to pristine shards only. Now I'm upgrading so I can use pristine shards in the crafting abilities. Okay. Sorry, I have to take this extra slowly, otherwise it'll screw up so many things. Also, marathon safety. I'm not as careful when I'm doing actual attempts of the category. but that's because the category is fairly optimized. So I'm leaving these two open because I don't want to... I'm using them later for an epic gem, which I can't craft right now because my value is too little. Okay, so we got 300,000 again by using that selling trick. And we got a lot of items with socketed gems. And this is another medallion we're getting. And now we're finally finishing our first quest, more than 30 minutes into the game. And that gave us the full reward from level 5 to level 6. And now we're using that to our advantage to continue the quest while being way overpowered. I haven't actually equipped anything, so I'll do that right now. I did level up though, so let's see how much of a difference that's making. So this is the first quest NPC that we're supposed to talk about then, or talk to. And yeah, we can do a lot of damage now. So this category has pretty much... I can't say no influence by RNG. Like, there's one thing that I'll have to take care of. Those will be... whenever you fate shift an enemy, there's a chance they'll drop an Essence of Fate. And the Essences of Fate are used in potions of the highest tier. And there's one potion we particularly want. That potion will make the final boss fight a lot faster because it skips out dumb farming phases in between. And you can use up to 3 potions to skip up to 3 phases. We kind of aim for at least 2 potions, so that results in a requirement of 8 Essences of Fate. But if we're getting 12, we're going with 3. Yeah, so those are bought items. If I go with random drops that I could get from killing enemies as of now, that would not be comparable to the stuff I can equip as of now. So the tiers of items that would spawn are like 1 to 2 below what I can currently equip, and I can buy even higher than that. So in the middle between the red health bar and the blue mana bar, you'll see this fate meter here, the purple bar. That'll fill up for certain actions and for killing enemies. So killing a troll gives 50 fate if you're at the same level. Oops. And I'm trying to get this fate meter full before the final boss, so I can fate shift it and then get a lot of experience from that as well. Okay. So I'm just running past a lot of enemies because I don't care about killing them. But a lot of them will be required for our route in general. Okay. I'm using an ability called Shadow Flare that inflicts bleeding damage. And bleeding damage is weakening enemies, so you're dealing more. That was unfortunate. Okay. Okay, I got my... I'm stuck here. Okay. Let's go. So I'm having two things running on the center right of the screen. One is an XP potion, and the other one is an XP shrine. So XP is often the limiting factor to us not being able to proceed to areas, so we'd have to farm. This category is pretty good if you use this new route to avoid any out-of-the-way farming for experience. Alright, let's see how empowered we are now. Alright, that was easy enough. So here I'm just mashing one of 3 buttons to fill up the thing to the max. That'll allow us to get a lot more experience from that. There's a chance I got an Essence of Fate in a part of the drops that I did not see. So different types of enemies can spawn various amounts of Essences of Fate, so higher tier enemies can spawn more. And in case you're wondering, no, I'm not trying to do anything indecent by removing my clothes. This is part of the category. I'll have to... It's not part of the category. I'll have to equip different equips later anyway. And there's some sort of... Could you call that an Easter egg? Maybe it's like a hidden mechanic. You will have a different swimming animation if you have 0 armor equipped. You can have weapons, you can have accessories, jewelry, whatever. But no shields and no clothes. And if that is applied, then you'll get like maybe 20% faster swimming speed, something like that. And this upcoming area features a lot of water, and I'll save like a few seconds to do it like this. This will also mean the fight we're doing at the end of that section has us with 0 armor. So I can use a potion if I feel scared, but it's usually hard difficulty that requires you to be careful in not getting hit. Because without a shield, you can't parry. You can dodge things, but you can only block, not parry. And parries are pretty much negating an enemy attack and doing a counter attack from your side that stuns enemies for a tiny amount. So it's allowing you to counter their attacks instead. But there are many attacks that can't even be parried. So that's something you have to keep in mind. This game has a lot of really cool mechanics in my opinion. But yeah, this is the final portion. Like, we've done the first quest already, we just haven't handed it in yet. We'll do that in a second. But we wanted to hand that in after doing this portion, otherwise we'd have to equip a lot more, rather unequip a lot more armor and then re-equip it again. And we couldn't equip what we've crafted earlier because there was no... There's a finesse requirement, so you have to invest a certain amount of ability points into the finesse tree to equip that. And we don't have that many yet, but we will do that in a second. So I'll just need to talk to Agarth again, discover the location, and kill these guys. Okay, so...
Welcome to... Come with me. In we go.
Alright, let's go. Shopping trip number 3. Just kidding. This is just a super slight detour. And this is important because of places where I... that shop has a different merchant location at nighttime. So I'm supposed to go there early on. And now I adjust the time of day for it to be further into the night. And that'll allow us to enter the next dungeon during daytime. So this is all like tightly mapped out. You can have like a few seconds of leeway of execution, so no worries about going on a crazy precise schedule. But it is like optimized fairly well to take all of these minor requirements into account. The remaster is mostly going to be a graphical overhaul from what I can tell. There hasn't been a lot of official information about it so far, which is kind of sad, but yeah, I can also understand them not wanting to reveal too much to keep the hype up. Okay, I just wanted to check something with my experience there. Because I killed an extra enemy in Hexy Dam, the dungeon I was in earlier, and I wasn't sure whether that gave more than 30 experience or not. Alright, so a lot of this is just going through the quest, killing enemies in dungeons and doing other things. So now, this is the first city we're entering, the city of Isa. It's a Fae place. Fae are like, I don't know whether you can call them elf creatures, because the race I'm currently playing as Dokkalfar is kind of like an elf thing. So they're magical beings that are like more intertwined with nature than the human races. There's also like a lot of lore going on about everything. So there's pretty much two factions of Fae, the summer and winter ones. Inventory, so now I can equip the things since I'm fulfilling the requirements. And now we can start partying big time in this dungeon. I also got shrines there. Shrines are temporary buffs that you can get in the game. And we mostly care about plus 20% experience, because that also stacks multiplicatively with any other experience buff. There's also higher crit chance, higher crit damage, and more damage overall, which is very convenient. But technically we don't need those on casual difficulty, at least not much. If I don't lose aggro here, meaning if they don't get stuck on the corner, which they did, I'd have to kill them, because you can't interact with a lot of things unless you're having no aggro on you. So I'm able to kill most enemies here in one shot. There are stronger enemies that'll take more, but it's like, this is fairly early, so I do have a lot of damage, a lot more than I should, I guess. Okay, so we lost aggro.
The theater can show us the whole tapestry of
Well, I didn't get around to killing it.
We can do nothing to change it.
To get back and answer the rest of the question, like there could be a smaller gameplay changes, bug fixes, and other things. I don't know how severe the changes will be as of now. It's mostly a graphical overhaul from what we assume. Wait, how did that not give more fate? So I wanted to have my fate meter maxed out so I can fate shift the whole next room. That'll allow me to give me more targets to loot Essences of Fate at. And yeah, I'll also use a potion here. I'm going into stealth to get an extra bonus, so I'm one-shotting everything by just entering stealth mode. Okay, it seems like we're good. And that's something we'll try to do, like group up more enemies. That's not very promising so far. I'm not really expecting a lot of drops. Well, that was one, so that's already good.
After all those years of hiding in a bottle, it's good to see some action again.
Okay, so now I've equipped my final longbow. I know we're still fairly early into the development of the character, but we don't need any stronger longbow, not even on hard. And we one-shot this boss enemy here casually. Like, that's beyond what normal character builds would be able to dish out at that point. And the bow is both ranged, so you can chase off fleeting enemies, and also don't have to walk around the whole place if they're surrounding you, for example. So I got 2 Essences of Fate there, and I got another one there, so I have at least 3 in my inventory as of now. And there's an auto aim in the game, so I don't have to be exactly facing them. It can sometimes be hard to select the right enemy you want to target, but it works fairly well for most fights. I'll go for 3 enemy kills here. Actually, 2 would have been enough. Those were normal kobolds. So every enemy has a specific class or tier that you can assign them to, and that will be like their base factor for scaling damage and health, but also how much experience they reward and the fate amount as well.
Got a quick second, Hyperion?
Yeah, sure, go on.
We got a donation from Hot Coffee. I like that name, alright. $10. Good luck to Hyperion, and have a comfy Sunday morning, afternoon, everyone.
Thank you so much, Hot Coffee. I'm also looking forward to your run coming up afterwards, and I'm sure that'll be a blast for everyone as well.
Harry Potter multi-runs. Got any idea what we can expect from that? 7 PC duo factor.
I haven't watched it myself, but I'm really excited to give that a watch later.
Yeah, we got some wonderful and crazy stuff coming up. I'm really looking forward for Jazz Jackrabbit 2. That's the ultimate blast from the past for me. And it's only 23 minutes plus glitch exhibition, luckily.
And the most awesome part is that we still have a whole other weekend coming ahead next week.
Yes.
So more exciting stuff going to happen.
I think they found a really good way to deal with the situation. Yeah, I hope lots of people have the time, have the comfiness, and are in a good place to watch this with all that's going on. So you can take off a bit, relax, enjoy this. Thanks for bringing us through this, Hyperion.
Yeah, I'm glad to show off a little bit of the game. This is not what usual Let's Plays show off, so I'm not trying to aim at all of that, because that would be a little too stressful to be non-stop talking about lore and other things. So if you're interested in that, I'm just skipping over everything, which is not like doing the game's awesome lore, storytelling, and quest justice. I know that, but that's not the aim here. We're aiming for going fast.
But good to know they got all that. So if anyone wants to enjoy that, they can either hit up the game or the remaster.
Yeah.
No spoilers here.
Well, I'm trying to not show too many spoilers, but I can't avoid it at all times, so my apologies. But yeah.
Not for that.
So this
all
is
for the children.
Yeah.
Oh damn, those guys died fast.
Poor
and
dogs.
That's one for the swear jar.
Alright, I'll have to pay attention about that as well. So this is an escort mission, and we always love it.
Yes,
Escort
of course. We always love saving the people. At least that guy seems to be capable of running, right?
Yeah, he is pretty fast. Like, he's actually faster than me, but he never goes in a straight line if he's not, like, being shoved in the right way. And
is he drunk?
he's always complaining about that, like he's a former drunkard. but he is like getting his things together to help for the right quest now. He sees the importance of this. He finds a meaning to life
Yes.
again. Very inspiring.
Sobriety for the children.
Yeah. So here there are actually dogs called barges. I love to call them dogs though, who are in these cages. And maybe for next time I'll have that as an incentive to free those, because it's slightly slower to free them.
Yeah. And can you pet them after you've freed them?
Unfortunately not, but you can walk around them and cuddle them a little. But
Okay, that's fine as well.
there's a DLC that lets you keep them as a pet and actually feed them, which is really cool.
All right, I think we're definitely going for that one. Even if I have to donate all of that myself.
Well, yeah, I'll just have to get in like something like all Twists of Fate with DLC into a marathon. That is probably one of the most exciting categories this game has to offer, because it offers so many more of the glitches and a lot of routing synergy. So right now we're just doing one quest after the other, mostly. But like the All Twists of Fate is kind of doing all faction quests and get the respective rewards. I'll actually get a Twist of Fate in, I don't know, 20 seconds maybe. And those are just permanent bonuses that you unlock for special actions in the game. And we're talking to the Faking right now, trying to explain the situation to him. And he tells us it's very dire, but we can do something if we're keeping at it. And we're very magical, we're an exception. We've been reborn as the first human ever to get their souls back into their bodies. Oh my god, that was muscle memory. We're not doing shopping trip in that sense. Good thing I noticed that in time.
Just give me a straight answer.
This is the only shopping option here.
Thank
We
you for-
bought a ring here,
You should be just what the
and
general's looking for.
that ring gives us extra experience. We'll equip that as well. And now we're heading to Overlook Camp. So now we do have two quests simultaneously going again, but we're doing them in an order that is maybe not very intuitive. We're just skipping between them as we need to. It's just to route out everything synergy-wise, and to deal with night cycles, and to organize shopping and crafting. And it's like fairly complicated. I've run this game for quite some time. I'm fairly new to this category, but I'm still using notes for categories that I'm very familiar with, because there's so much you have to keep track of. And if you struggle with anything, coming up with on-the-fly adjustments is a lot more difficult. I've done something like... Yeah, okay. I mean, I did do a run of Ocarina of Time on Friday, and this one has always backup strats. But in this game, you have to think really hard to comprehend what you need to do and how things are intertwined. But the category is easy to start out with, so I can totally recommend anyone who wants to pick up such a game to give this a try. It's not particularly hard, but there can be lots of small time losses. Oh, okay, I forgot to explain that. I could have bought a troll hide armor earlier to go along with the other troll hide set. The problem with that is there'll be another armor later that we're getting. Wow. How did I get aggro there? Are you serious? Okay. So this is usually a part where you hide behind collision and then sneak past. So until they notice you there and start aggroing, you'll already be at the door and have the door open. But that did not want to be the case here. So now we're getting approached by a group of assassins. Just need to check that I got every one of them. And yeah, sorry if some of these finishers are very cruel. Okay, there we go. So we're fairly fine with our experience thing. And yeah, sorry that there's no 3-man option here. But maybe in the remaster, who knows what they'll add. I'm excited to see that.
Hey, surely, you see.
So now it's nighttime. And nighttime means that a lot of our damage that we've crafted will not be available anymore. But we don't care about that too much. Instead of walking back here, I'm fast traveling back to get her in a favorable animation. So she won't have to stand up and like be in a talkable state again, so we can interact with her properly. This game is more anime than Code Vein. Is this a low-key insult? I don't know. I think this game is pretty awesome. So, to finish off the explanation from earlier, I'll buy another chest piece later that I can't equip right now, and I don't have access to the merchant selling it. But that will have an extra epic slot socket for a gem that will give us even more experience bonus, and that'll pretty much work like a permanent experience shrine. But we can still get the XP shrine whenever we want, which is really awesome. And that mostly solves all of our experience worries. So I'm just waiting for the aggro to go away. And this is also a convenient location for us to grab an experience shrine as we go. So we don't have to go an extra detour, like the city of Isa with the Fae and like the whole tree things and whatever. That one has shrines which are readily accessible to us right now. But if we can get one like this, saving about 10 seconds or more, we'll always take this one, since we're not reliant on the other shrines that give you like reduced casting costs for spells, higher health regen, and the other damage upgrades. But yeah, this is just, I don't know, maybe you guys have watched Pokemon speedruns and other things. If you have to adjust with certain stuff, this is really going crazy. So depending on which type of drops you get, and enemy patterns and fate rewards and so on, you may need backups. But like, there's an easier route as well. It's not as fast, but it's certainly more doable if you can't wrap your head around. So I'm just waiting for this enemy spawn here, because those will be very valuable in terms of experience and really good chances to get Essences of Fate. Let's see, will the brownies catch up? I did not see what I got. Okay, this is unfortunate. Oh no. I can't believe this. Okay, I got a Cloudy Physical Shard. That is a little unfortunate. I'll have to be careful. I do have a pristine physical shard and a pristine protection shard, which I'll use later to craft an epic gem for the experience bonus. So when crafting, I'll have to be careful not to socket it into other items and to craft with the right shards.
The Niskaru took everything from me. My soldiers, my station, everything. All my life burned when baby.
Okay, let's give a quick lore recap. So I talked about the Fae. There's the Summer Fae and the Winter Fae. And the Winter Fae got corrupted by an evil entity and are now following some sort of cult and want to bring down the destruction of all other life. And they attacked a fortress city,
They were not always in a war. It wasn't
and
until
she
the
was a
Night
general
Guard started
who
making pacts
lost
with them
an
that
important
they fought
fight
alongside
and
the
then
Squad.
tried to retrieve a special weapon that is supposed to change the tides of war. And we're kind of on a losing foot right now, which means we need every help possible. Of course, they don't know that I am OP, so they could just send me in there and we wouldn't need anything else, but let's just go along with the lore. I did get a few kills after the fate shift, before I could fast travel away when I was outside in the plains. So I don't need to worry too much about my fate meter not getting up. I'll have 4 more captains to kill. So yeah, that'll be an easy 80 fate. So we're way good. Here I'm using the chakrams, which is like a medium range weapon, but still considered melee, to break obstacles in the game before I can get there. Like, I'm trying to always use my downtime whenever I have to wait for something to do useful things. And that just means we save a few frames walking that path. And I got a really perfect Tilara spawn here, so she doesn't have to run far. Alright, so this is an epic boss fight, and you know what epic boss fights look in a speedrun. They're pretty fast. Oh no, I overkilled one guy there. That is really unfortunate, because I won't be able to get any Essences of Fate, and I have to run back and forth now. Oh, that was too slow. So the problem is, we're dealing so much damage that if we're critting one of the sub-damage types, we can kill stuff way too quickly. Curious of Omen. Wow, that's a rare affix that you can drop. But yeah, any item can be dropped by any enemy if it has the right level. I looted the wrong Niskaru there, but it's fine. So the goal here is to beat her. She's a slower NPC runner. To beat her to the exit of the dungeon and fast travel right away to Rathir, which is like a fortress where we did shopping earlier. It's not a fortress necessarily, it's just a large city. And that means she'll spawn in here trying to talk us, but we're already past her, so we're just beating her to the spawning place. It's not crazy precise, but it's a neat little time save. There are a lot of neat little time saves which I can't go over with, but if anyone's interested, I'll post a link to the speedrunning Discord later. You can ask for questions, and a lot of runners have very comprehensive notes. So we just talked to this guy. He's like a representative of the council governing the city, more or less. And we talked to him about, yeah, we have this awesome unique weapon, we managed to get this epic general back, and look at me, I'm still topless. But guess what? That'll stop now. So we got a passage over this water body. I don't know whether that's an ocean or just sea. But once we arrive here, this is the city that is under siege of the evil force in the game called the Tuatha Daon.
Not exactly the heroes of us.
So we just discovered that place, and now we're fast traveling 3 times to this place, which will adjust our time of day. So armor 1, ring 2. Now we level up. And leveling up is also kind of weird menuing. And now we have to equip things. Alright, good. This is the final cutscene in the game. After this, it'll be 50 minutes of non-stop gameplay. And maybe the beginning section seems a bit boring and dragging out. But if you're actually playing it yourself, there's so much you can focus on with optimization in terms of movement and being aware of what you have to do next. That is pretty big, I'd say. So it's about to be 6 AM, and that is when daytime starts according to the in-game clock. So this is when a lot of the effects that are daytime dependent will kick in. And surprisingly, they last until 9 PM. So that's a 15-hour duration as opposed to a 9-hour duration of the night. And just as a neat little information piece, this game has an in-game time running at 30 times the speed of regular, like real time. So 2 minutes on like an RTA timer equal to 1 hour in-game time passed. But with these fast travels, we can pass like, I don't know, let's say 12 hours within 10 seconds. Because each fast travel calculates like a certain distance. So we're only here to have access to a sage crafting altar. So I'm careful to craft the right thing here and then socket it into the right item. And now we have this really awesome piece of armor that is actually very defensive as well. And this is making a huge difference. Like, I called this a glass cannon build because we don't care about armor, but the only items that have these sockets end up to be very not low tier.
What?
Like they're tier 4 and 5. But of course you can go way more defensive than that. But the game's difficulty is not comparable to other things like Dark Souls. But there can be adjustments to the game's difficulty as well, and maybe the remaster will feature a whole new difficulty level. So, alright. Now we have to wait for him to get up. This is a bit awkward. I'm just trying to get past. So this is a person who funded the Well of Souls to bring back people into life. And the Ethics Commission didn't like that, so he kept it a secret. But guess what? I dodged into the wrong direction. So it's just a phase-based fight where you have to kill enemies to trigger him to move on. And I hope he's not moving away now. That would be really unfortunate. Well, that's okay. He's having armor applied to him. I'll just wait for him to be... Oh my god. So whenever enemies reach their maximum aggro range, they'll start going back into their normal spawning position. And during that they have a special protection that's also negating a lot of the damage you're doing.
Well, even regard.
And
Now,
that is a bit unfortunate for him to spawn like that, but it's okay. Like, this run has been very good so far. I'm not beating up anyone.
greetings.
He threatened me and attacked me. This was purely acting in self-defense, and everybody agrees. And don't worry, he actually got fate shifted, but he survived. So, no harm done, right? Right? And he tried to kill me, so I'm not saying it's good to perform that type of justice, but...
Our hunt for
No one will ever believe me. Oh no! All of these witnesses not having my back. So sad. So I don't need to kill a lot of things here. I just want to get through the area efficiently, more or less, and I want to have fate meter for the next boss fight. Nothing crazy going on. And yeah, he actually did. Like, he was lying on the floor, just sleeping a little. But that's just his resting position. Well, there have been other gnomes, like his assistants. They were not as lucky as him. But that's the only enemy, really. So this is just mashing through more conversations, but nothing here is really happening. It's just like trying to give you some intel about the progress of battle and what you should be doing and whatever. But we have this yellow marker on our map that tells us where to go. And yeah, now we have like the maximum amount of upgrades on things. So we are having everything equipped in our inventory that we want. And this is the crazy, like, plus 2000% damage thing now. And I can showcase that off. Like, this next fight is pretty interesting. The guy we're fighting has a stagger and interrupt prevention. It's called super armor. And he's the maybe one of the only enemies that has 100% super armor. But he is also being one-shot by us, so the armor doesn't help him here. And maybe any percent hard is a little more fun to watch in that sense. It's not as optimized, but it does have a bit more in terms of scary moments where you're about to die if you do a wrong move. And since enemies have almost twice the health, they'll also take longer to kill some, especially in the early section. That's very noticeable. Yeah, well, it's super armor against non-super enemies, I'd say. Okay, so now we'll actually use a potion here. Those were also supposed to be strong enemies. But I guess this is a weird troll that is not completely crazy. Maybe a captain or something like that. We'll wait this cycle. On hard, this is a one-hit KO. Okay, let's see if we can get this skip. That was unfortunate, but we still got it. Nice. And it's a bit ridiculous how... This is the mega boss, by the way. I did not charge up all the way, so I had to use an extra shot afterwards, but technically he's a 2-shot boss. Alright. Yeah, I mean, he's the largest or second largest enemy we're fighting in this category. But, too bad for him he didn't make it through initial casting. So we broke the siege, we fought them back. Now they're iconic figure of this weird creature, the demon from a different dimension. Once he was gone, the other soldiers were able to fight back and force them off. And our experience is decent, so we're on track with everything. I'm just farming some free experience on the way. So now we're mostly invading enemy territory, and it gets worse the further we progress. I don't know what worse means, because again, like, I'm having a little too much damage on this build. But there's no faster way to kill enemies and save time. Like, we're investing more than 3 more minutes into the preparation compared to the previous route, but we're saving so much time in other ways that just allows us to not have to go to extra shrines, not have to go out of the way to fight enemies. Yeah, medieval Doom guy in a fantasy setting, that sounds pretty cool. Alright, let's go. So this is maybe a tiny bit out of the way. I'm grabbing some enemies that are free on the way here for an epic fate shift. That is really good for experience. And wow, we got a triple thresh. That is what I call luck. But yeah, it's a little sad that I can't show off more of the game's weapon combos and fighting mechanics. But if you're into that type of stuff, wow, 3 Essences of Fate, that's wonderful. There are many other categories that save time on not going heavy into preparation, and they'll fight enemies that are way over their level. Oh no, I missed the snipe. I'll do that right now. So there are other categories that'll fight like enemies that may be 5 or 6 levels above what you are with a glass cannon build. And that is really exciting because it shows off a lot of finesse. And you can't parry these enemies as well, but you can do a perfect shield input, which will how do you call that? It'll just negate all of the damage you're receiving, pretty much. And this is like another free experience shrine on the way. And yeah, I have to apologize that any percent is a little linear. It's maybe the most run category, because it's the most legit in that sense. But there are other categories that have a lot more to offer, and I think that's really awesome to see more weapons than just longbows or scepters. Those are also very OP. Scepters are the mage's ranged weapons, and they don't have a set quiver size like me with the arrow right now. Instead, they consume mana, so you have a limited mana pool. But if you want to go crazy, like, there's a shrine that gives you health and mana leech, so you can just spam the scepter and get mana from killing enemies. And Yeah, I know this game doesn't need more ways to be broken or overpowered, but it just keeps on giving if you're interested in abusing that. Of course, nobody has to do anything like that.
Secrets of magic.
Okay, this time I did the snipe. So technically you can wait, that was 3. I miscounted. Technically you can do extra things, but it's not bad to play this game without abusing the mechanics. Like, you can just use whatever uniques or set items you find. I think like a self-found category would be pretty fun. Oops. But yeah, nobody has wanted to do anything like that. But it's not bad in any way to give it a try. So right now we're just killing more enemies on the way. And I think I'll go for 12 Essences of Fate. If I can, like, at least the ones I can get free on the way. Like, I'm having more than 8 as of now. But if I can get to 12, that's a little faster. But I don't have to force it, so we're pretty much good on the RNG portion as of now. Alright. So we got that down. And yeah, there are many different aspects and mechanics of the game. 4 Essences of Fate, I think that puts us to more than 14. But unfortunately, there's no use for getting an extra one. Like, it could be an instant fate shift. Actually, if I manage that, I can do a different fate route for the second to last area we're in. But usually you just stop looting once you do that. I didn't keep an exact count, and there were also spots that I couldn't see when I was looting an enemy. And yeah, I'm being extra careful here, not trying to do the conversation skip, because I'll just let him talk to me. Like, I avoided the soft locking potential, like that's the extra marathon safe thing, because I don't want to have that happen to me.
There are worse allies to have than the Winter Fae.
But yeah, like, I know it's pretty rough to lose 10 seconds in an optimized speedrun, but I'm willing to take that as marathon safety. But this game can get crazy optimized. And whenever you think something's optimized, a new trick or glitch or routing option is found. And then the whole process starts all over again. Our experience is fairly alright, yeah. So what I did was, there were these crystal chantries, and they had kind of like a Tuatha corruption broadcast on. He was like preaching about how they need to keep on fighting humans and boost their morale. Dodged that bullet.
It has the two. But Aelin, we will meet again at the shadowed tree on the Keelan.
Okay, so I'm doing the shorter shrine here. Like on hard, it's more efficient to go to Isa and get the damage buffs. But we just care about experience for this portion, and so we're fine with this. And yeah, we did a bit of discovery while doing quests, but we're pretty much heading south to march into the next area.
Through the woods, through the hollows and green
And
meadow,
now
through the summer,
we've discovered that there's another Well of Souls that this weird corrupt gnome
through the
had
vengeance,
funded
pride and sorrow.
with a person who we've interacted with in our past life. So there's like a lot of lore behind all of these. It's not just
But enough. Just make
boring
sure I believe
or
our new friend has a disturbing
not
heart.
creative content there. So I can definitely recommend giving this game a try.
Stay behind. Whatever
And the
that
voice
gnome's been
acting
up to,
is
it
also
looks like
pretty
he's made
neat.
a few enemies in the process. This is your end.
I'm running towards this place here to trigger
Just as Hughes thought.
the
In the
opening.
same way to an old lab. This'll be quick. Follow me.
The opening of this sealed barrier door,
I expected a little.
Well of Souls is overwhelming.
Damn it!
and then I could hunt down a few of the enemies for free
I'm sure he'd be happy
XP.
to help whoever saves him.
And we're running past a lot of enemies.
Or we'll get trapped up there.
We
so-
always care about like
Here's where we
the
pop. I'll hold this staircase. Move.
how long it takes to get how much experience. That's kind of like an own metric in the game, but that is really complicated and depends on the build and other things.
Sort of nonsense is this? If anything had come in here, might it...
So usually that is done one time,
Who's down there?
and then the routing for the category is stable. But it has a really high skill ceiling, I'd say. But the differences is usually in the seconds thing. So this new route shaving off about 5 minutes of the previous one is really crazy.
What I get for using all those songs.
So it was pretty much 3 months ago when a new runner, or well, he's been around for 4 months roughly, when he was starting to run the game and optimize the category as it was. And he did a really awesome job at that. But he was running the old mage route still. And it's crazy how much time that saves.
When you get out here, try not to look directly.
So, like the latest record was, well, it's not an officially submitted record, but like a PB
Damn it! Hurry!
of any percent on hard difficulty being faster than any percent on the casual difficulty like 2 months ago. So the world records have been drastically improving, and this is very impressive to see.
Your time did you wait? Spent. No, the lads are here. Hold them
We
off
have
while I
another
try to
little
stop the flow
person
of
here.
energy to the
Oh,
west.
they look kind of cute.
Yeah, and he'll survive. He's under our personal protection. He has a nice,
Yeah.
he has a nice goatee.
Goatees matter. Yeah. I just want to let everyone know who just tuned in. We're running, or Hyperion is running, I'm hosting, Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning, any percent. We're having a charity marathon for Save the Children, and with $1,320 so far, which is amazing, we're pretty much 2/3 off the way to something really amazing, which is with $2,000, Save the Children can stock, for example, an emergency clinic for over 4 months, providing essential items like IV fluids and infection control supplies. One amazing thing you all are doing here with this donation. Keep it coming if you can and want. It's never required, but always appreciated, as they say.
Thank you for that, host. That was pretty wholesome and yeah, very appreciated. And it's also
your
good.
narration. Your narration is also wonderful. I'm a bit sleep deprived as well, and you're putting me to rest and at ease, and everything's just smooth. I love that.
All right, I can return that because you have an awesome voice as well. But yeah, it was good to catch my breath and not have to talk for once. But I hope I'm not boring everyone to death with this flood of information here.
Oh, no. For me, it's all right. Chat, sound off, but say the right thing. He's great. He's my brother.
Yeah.
Beware or Germany will come for you. No, we don't do that anymore.
No. But we're brothers in fighting for the same cause, which is save the children now. So we can evolve.
Definitely. Okay, take it away again. You got this. Thank you.
Thank you. And yeah, whenever there's something else, like we do have time for donations and everything else as well. I've just killed some enemies on the way. I'm going to the final area of this larger region called Chloricon. And there are these Fae, and they are grouped in certain institutions representing a lot of things. Like Fae are generally nice creatures and they care about the environment and sorry, I had to take care of this guy. But these corrupted Fae are not very nice, so we're only fighting those. The other Fae are our friends. I did do a conversation skip here, and that also allowed us to talk to Agarth again, like our formerly drunk friend, who's now sober, mostly. I don't know.
Sometimes one soldier can do what an entire
Either way,
army cannot.
he is going into a staring animation where he's having his right hand above his eyebrows. And because that takes a long time for his hand to be lowered again, we're warping into the place and try to interact with him before he's doing that. So I'll try to get a parry right after or right before he's talking to us. That was a little long. It's only like 6 seconds where that's happening. It would have saved an arrow shot here. But yeah, this is like an arrow shot is what, less than half a second. But you can optimize this game to crazy amounts. And there's lots of stuff that I don't mention because I don't think it adds anything. And I'd prefer a rather chill atmosphere for this. I'm not as stressed out about commentary because this is not... It requires thinking, but it's not horrible in any shape or way. This is a mage barrier, something we don't see very often, but that prevents any projectile damage. Let's just check that we got everyone. That was not a very good start. Got everything sorted out. So I'm just going to loot this captain tier enemy. Okay. I had a slight chance of getting Essences of Fate here to try out the quadruple Fate potion strat. But that's more like a gimmicky thing, nothing mandatory for the success of the run.
If you would be so, we are waiting.
Okay, so guess what? There are more two other boss enemies here. But guess also what? Even though they are supposed to be pretty strong, they still die in one hit. But that was a charge shot, so higher level requires us to invest a little more into these damaging things. Yes, okay. That was the quick conversation with the immediate kill. So these chantries are pretty much the only scenario where your aiming matters, because it may not prioritize the target you're aiming at, or the distance may be too high to be considered viable. So you just have to tune into sniper mode. Problem solved.
Now, I'll see you in Alabastra.
Okay, so I'm crafting these potions now. That looked like 4? I don't know. But yeah, we're way beyond level 19. So I just wanted to be extra safe with my leveling things. If I was below level 19, the areas here would all result in red named enemies, because the minimum requirement here is 22. So as long as I'm level 19 or higher, I'm good. That was... yeah, sometimes it's just easier to kill an enemy instead of dodging them. And yeah, you can do different builds as well with different level ups. So I haven't leveled up since level 13, and the hard difficulty run will do that. But on this difficulty, taking like, I don't know, 10 seconds to level up is not being awarded by saving 10 seconds in fights.
What? So you...
And these are just forced conversations. Like if I ran past him, at some point he would just teleport me back. So I'm just triggering them. There could be ways to get past these eventually, but out of bounds is very limited and you usually get stuck and can't do anything about it. And most casuals never go out of bounds, but there are certain ways with missing height adjustment or detection where you can get stuck, but then you can still fast travel away or do other things. So here's a nice group of enemies, and if I had leveled up, I'd use a new bow ability. But for now, what we're doing instead is Shadow Flare. That attack is still powerful, even that late into the game, even though it was the first tier skill that we could get. I'm wondering whether one of these is... This looks like a Feyblade wielder. The other one is an Arcane Barghest, whose chasing speed is not very high. So I'm usually killing priests because they have annoying projectile attacks, but everything else is fine. And yeah, one final thing that I could have mentioned earlier. The DLC is not required for the completion of any percent if you run any percent DLC. But you can abuse its areas to your advantage, so you can purchase stronger crafting items, and it also allows you to access the special deliveries chest, and that one is beneficial for selling items. So I'm not fate shifting those, I'm just running over all the way
A feast for maggots
to this
crimson
spawn
ball
here.
that eat the dying when they fall. Instead
And
of vibrant fight
there's a boss enemy here as well.
bargain
And interestingly enough, enemies that are not in the standing, running, whatever animation can't be killed. Their health can't drop below 0.
we hunger for your corpse once more, to hear your cries and anguish roar.
And these weird projectiles that just happened, that's something that is due to some weird other things from the fate shift. Okay, I had to dodge this projectile because ice slows you down. So I fate shifted a lot of guys at the same time, and I got their fate, like their souls and their history and everything absorbed into me, which is very disgusting in that type of sense. But so being revived, I have a special property of not being bound by the threats of fate, as it's called. So for other creatures, their life is kind of predetermined by some higher, like a grand scheme of things. For us, that does not apply, so we can just do whatever we want, and we may or may not success it based on what we do. And that's why people are scared of us, because we can rewrite history and avoid the impending doom. I think our fate meter is fine. Yeah, I mean, I'm doing crazy stuff, and nobody wants to believe that that's a thing. Okay, you have to dodge this based on proximity, otherwise the homing effect will catch in on you. And so you use audio cues. I use audio cues for many attacks that happen off screen, because every projectile has an individual speed, or a lot of them do at least. So it's good to like be able to do that, but it's not guaranteed. Do we want the troll? Yeah. And yeah, we're just becoming the savior of the world, because we're the only person who can do that. And yeah, you can also do bad things with this type of freedom. And some side quests and faction quests allow that to happen, where you can make choices that affect the progress of the game in some way. But they are independent of the main quest, so it's not like you can ruin your main quest by doing a dumb choice in some other place.
Damn it, right? If we stay on guard.
And the DLCs are also independent of the main game, and they offer cool new mechanics as well, like a new damage type, cool player housing,
Looks like this is it.
and a lot of like other unique side quests that have new mechanics and can allow you to complete sets, to gain items, and to just be a bit more of, well, it's not economy management. It doesn't go crazy or anything, don't worry. But it's a fun alternative that is optional, so not mandatory. Good, we're level 20. That is the requirement for this area to not get red name enemies. And we'll want 21 for the area after that. Okay, so we're not right at the final part, but this is the final general region. Like, this is the end of the 5th region, Triple priests. What? That was a quintuple priest setup? What? Okay, okay. Calm down. So I'll just run past other enemies now, even if they start attacking me, I can just dodge. I'm also roll cancelling most attacks to get movement speed instead of... That is very unfortunate. I thought I wasn't in range for the first attack. So yeah, whenever I'm shooting and I want to run afterwards, like there, I don't want to deal with the projectile, I'm just roll cancelling it, and that allows me to enter the running state a little faster. Alright, so this is like a pre-boss. He's giving us a lot of experience, so... Wow. He got 3 arrows to tank. This is also a pretty epic flying trajectory. So now we're well into level 21. We don't need any more experience now. But what I'll do is I will farm for extra fate. Wait a second. No, I won't. Good to know I do have 4 fate potions. This is pretty neat. Now I'm just adjusting time of day. This is pretty crazy because we have kept track of time of day like throughout the run, and there was one set time of day moment again.
Here we be on your way. We're close to the be on your
Will
way.
she talk to me now? You're not supposed to force a conversation with her. You want to let her do the talking.
Fighting at your side, just like the old days, before you died.
So for the sake of not getting wrecked, you usually kill an enemy here. I do have like potions from the intro. Like, you don't really need potions. Things can go wrong, but even now I wasn't critically low. So there will be 2 mob spawns, and we need to take care of them. Otherwise we won't be able to pass the barriers blocking the way. So this is the first one, you can see it in the back around there. So we'll just have to kill all of these. Why are they walking away? Am I not interesting enough? Shots fired. The question is, was firing the better shots?
If you couldn't stop Tianok, she would use her pawns to fully escape her prison.
Okay, so this is just a random mob. No need to deal with that in any way. And this is the final mob that we kill. And now we go to this end to force a conversation with Aelin Shear again, our trusted female companion.
You can't count on having lead on.
Okay. And now, what? How did I get aggro there? What? Okay, okay. How are they? I thought I was not in aggro range. So she's teleporting you back to her position. That is normal. Epic boss fight incoming, by the way. So here we're abusing Reckoning mode to ditch out a little more damage. And I don't remember what his health value is on casual difficulty. It could be around 8k. So if you do a charged crit arrow without Reckoning mode, it should one-hit KO. But yeah, Reckoning mode just makes it more consistent. So that's what the 4th Fate Potion would have been used for.
Feel Tiernok's eyes upon us.
So this guy was kind of like the leader of these Tuatha, and we only fought his projection, so that wasn't actually him, and we still had to enter Reckoning mode to deal with him. How will that fare for the final epic battle? Find out in the next episode. No. We will be done in maybe 2 minutes. Like, I'll let you know in advance when that's happening. But it's not that much longer. Like, I had a few unfortunate things happening in the run, which made me lose a bit more than a minute on dumb things, and marathon strats also used up a little of other stuff. So there's this Tiernok entity talking to us right now.
What does she mean by that?
And yeah, so there will be a cutscene happening.
But that leaves... Go. Let's go.
And the cutscene shows Tiernok pretty much snipping the finger and then destroying Gadflow, this other weird person whose projection we almost had trouble fighting with. So we're getting like into Dragon Ball levels of power levels, I guess. Anyway, so this is the final boss fight coming up. We'll skip ahead in the phases due to not having to farm Fate any longer. That's why we use these Fate potions. So we can just enter Reckoning mode. That makes the boss vulnerable. And then you're supposed to deal damage. But we're dealing a lot of damage nonetheless. So there will be a Fate shift coming up, and once that Fate shift hits full maximum, I will be at the end. So it's like this animation, then I'll mash, and then it'll be time. So 3, 2, 1, and time. Sorry about cutting this boss fight short, but yeah. So this is the awarded bonus we get from defeating the main story mode. And we're often like creating some sort of save where we can check what our in-game time was, but that included character creation. So that was like a minute of idle time. Thank you. And thanks to everybody who donated. That was a really fun run to show off. I know this is not the maximum potential this game can showcase, but the categories are sometimes really long. And thanks, guys.
All right. Thank you for that. Tango with Fate. Collapse in chat, everybody, for Hyperion. Where can we find you otherwise, and what are you doing?
I'm pretty busy right now, so I'm not getting around to streaming that much, but I'd like to advertise a speedrunning community for the game where I'm present usually. And we're...
Hit me with the link and I'll post it in chat, because Moobot is a bit aggressive on the censoring side.
Oh, I didn't notice the Moobot thing canceling, but here you go.
There we go. Everybody interested in Kingdoms of Amalur Reckoning, hit up this beautiful link. And thank you, Hyperion. It was a great time having you.
I also had a great time.
Wonderful. Good to know.
Thanks for the awesome host. Thanks for like the technical back end who are constantly putting effort into all of this, and an online marathon of that caliber is pretty impressive to pull off with such quality standards. And
they definitely are the real heroes in the background. I just get to talk all the time. I'm really good at that. But they're putting in the work, and you as the runners, of course, as well.
Yeah, it's an awesome honor to be part of this event, and I'm looking forward to watching more of the awesome runs coming up. And
exactly.
If you have any questions, feel free to join the Discord, hit me up on Twitch or wherever. I'm glad to help people out. And thanks to everybody who followed me as well.
All right.
I think that's it for my side.
And we got Razor Flame Coon in with a donation to spite us guys. Ooh, what did he put that towards? I'll have to look that up, read them, and don't see it. It just ended up in the tracker. It'll be all right. We're heading over to intermission, an ad to Save the Children VOD probably. And then we'll be back with some wonderful Harry Potter goodness.
See ya, guys. Thanks for watching.
Take care.
Take care.
All right, I'll be signing off now. This was Friendship Cannon, your friendly artillery support. Next up on host and commentary, interview, donation reading is the wonderful, the amazing, the great sounding Maral.
Oh, thank you. Hi. Yes, I'll be your next host. And thank you, Friendship Cannon, for being so great. You've been a wonderful host and commentator and donation reader as well. And very, very accommodating and helpful in terms of getting me.
I just had so much fun with everyone here. And yeah, I think
Likewise.
Everyone's having fun. It shows. So, chat, be nice to Maral, or I'll wag my finger at you. Have fun, get hype. I think I'll have lunch and then a nap.
Enjoy your lunch and your nap. And thank you for introducing me.
Yeah, you got this. Take it away.
All right, I will. All right, so welcome to the NASA Marathon intermission right here. We are fundraising for Save the Children, as you may know already if you look at the screen. And we've raised $1,320 so far, which is amazing. Thank you all for your generous donations so far. The weekend's not over yet, and we also got next weekend coming up. So definitely a chance to raise even more money. But I just wanted to say thank you, everybody, for being so generous. This is the first time NASA Marathon is doing a charity event, and everyone has been coming through and being extremely supportive and generous in their donations, and that just is incredible. And for those of you who don't know, Save the Children works in 120 different countries around the world, including the US. And they ensure that children are protected from harm, have equal opportunity to learn, and access to healthcare, among many, many other things. And these are very broad goals, but it includes anything from preventing child marriage, sex slavery, children being forced into labor, and missing out on their education, all these type of things. And what I love about Save the Children is that it doesn't matter, they're not tied to like any religion, they don't have a political agenda, they just want to help kids who need it. So it's definitely a good cause. If you're able to, consider donating. If you like the NASA Marathon, consider donating. And right up, we'll have the Harry Potter multi-runs, the 7PC Duofecta by Hot Coffee. So definitely stay tuned for that. He's great, and I can't wait to watch it with you all. And we also have some donation incentives and bids that you can donate towards. Jazz Jackrabbit 2, discover a bunch of amusing glitches. Definitely donate towards that. And we've got Roller Coaster Tycoon, will you let the park guests leave the park alive? So far, it seems y'all want to see them die, but you can still change that. Anyway, I am Moral, your upcoming host for the next couple of games, and I'm gonna hop into Marathon on deck with the others and get us all set up. And see you soon. Take care. Until very soon. Oh god, I'm so awkward. Sorry. And one last thing, the stream will be going down for a tiny bit. We are restarting the machine, which we are running everything on, and just want to let you guys know that we're not stopping the stream completely. It's just going down for a little bit, so stay tuned, refresh, and coming right up is Harry Potter multi-runs. Rousal, Riot, Kappa, no! See you soon.